search and graduate school applications.
Yeah, this is career coach 101 here. This is like you were in it.
It's important to know that you can use those skills, and not only use those, but a tip is that you can put that on your resume. So having that connection to yourself and to your family.
Hello and welcome back to Career View Mirror. I'm your host, Joyel Crawford, and today's very special guest, I am honored to have President Connie Book from Elon University, my alma mater. I am very proud and very honored to have you here today.
Thank you. Excited to have a conversation with you about leadership. So thanks for having me.
Oh, I can't wait to dig into all of the questions because it's so exciting so that all of our audience can hear about what it takes to be a president. If you were to give us a quick job description of a university president, what would it be?
Well, you have to remember too that I work largely with 18 to 22-year-olds, right? So that, and so I do think that makes it really unique is that your service, when you think about leadership as service, you're working with a really young demographic. I will say the one feature, so I'm very much like a normal CEO. So you've got a line and staff chart, we've got a budget, we've got HR, we've got, those big buckets that a normal company would have. We're constantly in the middle of construction, we're building almost a little town. So I do have some elements that may not appear because of the residential nature of Elon University, may not appear on other CEOs' scopes of duty. I will also say one thing that people don't realize about higher ed is that we use a shared governance model. So that means that the people of Elon have the say-so about what happens at Elon. And that shared governance model provides a great roadmap for me and my leadership. So my leadership involves a lot of compromise and negotiation as we try to advance the university.
That's fantastic. And I think it's great to have that inclusive buy-in so that it can further, the progress and success of the university. And that is a huge CEO leadership tenet, is to get buy-in by including others in on the decision-making. That's a great job description. I mean, if you were to look back on your career view mirror, can you share how you got started in this? I mean, did you wake up one day, as you were growing up and said, I want to be a president of a university?
Well, I was very much a faculty member and a teacher, right? So my even as a graduate, I majored in journalism. As a graduate student, I just, my parents really encouraged me to get a teaching license because they were afraid that journalists wouldn't be able to make enough money to support a family. So I did get my high school English certification so I can teach English. I always have a fallback position.
The fallback job. I think our parents were in the same role there.
So I would say that, looking at the moment when I realized how much I was enjoying administrative work, I had become a department chair at Elon in the School of Communications. And I realized that as much as I enjoyed working on my own buckets of research and scholarship and working with students, that I actually enjoyed empowering my colleagues to be able to be successful in that balance between classroom and student work and scholarship. And I had that, I like it moment, and that it was making a difference for them. Felt really powerful that I was able to make a difference we had 53 faculty at the time in the unit. And I loved representing them and working to advance their careers.
So you got bitten by the bug almost.
Yes, that you could actually, as a leader, do things that made a difference for other people. And that was the bug that started it.
All right. That's amazing. I mean, are there any tips or things that people could take on if they wanted to pursue this career path to be a university president?
Well, I would say that when and a lot of people end up in academics because they enjoy a discipline, they enjoy the community, the student development piece. And because we are shared governance, that I would encourage anyone who wants to advance in leadership that when they are in a setting where people are talking about what's next, and over my shoulder, we have Boldly Elon, which is the name of our strategic plan at the university. Every person on campus participated in building that plan. And what I love about it is if you talk to any Elon employee, they can tell you what's in that plan. And they can also tell you the work that they do that matters in what we're trying to achieve. So that building out that culture. So when you're an employee and you are in those settings where you're talking about the future, usually there is a committee or a task force that is involved. And I always say, raise your hand. Raise your hand to be a part of that infrastructure for change, because you are going to learn. That's where I learned so much about leadership. It's not an N of one. It's that the team, no I in team.
No I in team, exactly.
So it does take a team effort, and being a part of those committees will give you a lot of great relationship and groundwork for being successful in an application for a leadership role.
That's fantastic. So really cultivating the network that you're in and raising your hand, showing your ask, right? And making sure that you're vocal and visible. Did you have any, and I know this is a random question, but it's inherent, but did you have any mentors or sponsors that helped you get to where you got to today?
Yeah, I think the people, I have had, so most of my I've only reported to men. So all of my formal sponsors have been men, but informally, there were a lot of women who were balancing I had children, a marriage, a husband who was a physician, so had a very busy schedule. And so I was always working toward having a network of women around me who could help me, right? And I would make time for coffee, phone calls, church groups, because I feed on a spiritual life that empowers me. So those mentors, I will say that the mentors, you hear this about sponsorship versus mentoring. When I was selected for those committees after raising my hand, that was very much someone who was sponsoring me in that moment and saying, Connie raised her hand, and I think Connie's voice would be a good voice in this committee.
Yes.
And sometimes you do have to work what they call a sidebar. So you raise your hand and then you realize this person and this person are going to be very influential on who else gets appointed. And so sometimes I would work sidebars and go reach out to those people and say, hey, I raised my hand for this. If you could put in a good word for me.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I would show up ready to work. So I wanted my reputation to be that, yep, Connie paid attention. She came, she participated. She was always working to help the group be smarter. So I also have a practice of sending information to people, even if it's not my project, sending information to people that I run across because I know they're working on something.
Right.
So help that group be smarter, and that cues you up for the next one.
Oh,
so once you're good on a committee, you get asked to be in the next one.
That's fantastic. So not only just kind of a lot of times, and I'll hear this a lot, or I'll see it a lot in the workplace, is that you'll get help and then that's it. Later, you get the help and you move on, but you're constantly sharing and building and strengthening that network, no matter where you are and what committee you're on. So that's really important, everyone, to make sure that you're strengthening the network continuously, keeping in touch and showing up even after you've gotten added to the committee.
And sometimes I'd be in large settings where they were talking about a project. And I would say, even when they weren't assigning the committee, I would raise my hand and say, hey, if you end up putting a committee or a task force, this is a topic I'm really interested in. So planting seeds even outside the formal invitation moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I think it's always important to keep in touch, like in different periods, not just the beginning, but the middle, the end, and then even after everything is over, and keeping in touch. That was Siri, by the way, asking, he was not understanding what we were talking about, but I get it. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem.
There. So do you have to get any types of credentials, like a master's degree or a PhD, in order to be involved with being a president?
I know very few college presidents that don't have at least one advanced degree. Wow. I would say that there are multiple pathways to the presidency. We are a private institution. At a private institution, the more typical pathway is from a faculty member to a provost to a president. Okay. But sometimes it can be somebody who works in alumni affairs that goes on to be a fundraiser that ends up that advancement role leads to the presidency. Sometimes it can be a very successful business leader who's an alum of a university that comes back, but usually they would have an MBA and comes back. It could be the dean of a business school, the dean of a law school. So they do have a diversity of people who different backgrounds, but I would say they are known for mentoring, known for fundraising, known for being able to successfully advance change at whatever organization they're in.
Ooh, so I might have a chance of becoming president. All right, everybody, listen, there's a chance for everyone if you've got these types of skill sets. That's really cool to know that, it's not just that you need to be in faculty, but you can have transferable skills that can lend themselves to the position.
And the average age of a college president in the United States is 64, I think, somewhere in that range. And the term is typically 5 to 6 years.
Okay, that's not bad.
No,
that's
so it's people at the end of their career, on average. Now I'm a young college president at 56.
Okay. All right.
And I'm already in my 4th year. And
I was going to say, I was like, how far are you into your term?
I'm in a 4th year, but Elon is known for long presidencies. So I replaced Leo Lambert, who was president for 18 years. And he replaced Fred Young, who was president for 28 years.
That was the president that I was, I went to school with President Young when I was going to school. That's how long ago I graduated. Showing my age. But that's what's one myth about working as a president of a university that you wish you could eliminate?
I think I want to eliminate the idea of ivory towers. I do think that higher ed has this image of being slow and that there's ivory and that there's ivy too, so it's kind of a place that doesn't welcome the outside to come into it. And that it's got old and aging traditions. And I would say I find higher ed to be a really dynamic space. Our curriculum's always changing.
Right.
We always have 18 to 22-year-olds, and they're always we're the first to experience the future, right? Because they come to college and they have passion and purpose about different things than my generation did. So we're always right on the cutting edge of what's ahead for the whole country and the world. So I very much want to demystify that idea that it's old and traditional and not accessible.
Oh, and I think that says a lot, to the success of Elon and how it's, top 10. I think it's number 2 out of the national universities recognized for excellence in undergraduate teaching.
We were number 2 for 2 years in a row, 1 year behind Princeton and another year behind Brown. And this year, just a few weeks ago, we're named number 1.
Woohoo!
So
Yay!
great news. Yeah.
That is fantastic news.
And our classroom's really powerful. As you know, the relationships that are formed here with your peers and your faculty and the staff at Elon really are the difference makers in our student success.
I
model.
totally agree. And I think it's funny because when I went to school, it was a college, it was small, and now it's a university, and that same small school feeling is still there. And that's what I love so much about it. Like you said, demystifying this old, like stodgy, I don't know, leather, I don't know.
Yeah, just everything old, right?
Old, yes. It's not that at all. I mean, there are just so many, like you said, we're constantly building, not only literally building, like physical buildings, but just the new ideas and innovation that's coming out of all of the students and the faculty and staff is just outstanding. It's outstanding.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I'd like to switch gears a little bit because leadership isn't all about the work. It's also about play. And I love to talk to my clients about harmony. You know, there's no such thing as work-life balance because everything is out, you know, something's always pulling at us. But what gets you out of bed in the morning, President Book?
Usually a strong cup of coffee and a dog. But I will say that it is that sense of purpose. And being a college president is not a 40-hour work week. So I'm just going to be brutally honest about that. You work most evenings and weekends because that's when students are out of class and when alumni can come back to the campus. So we're headed into a very busy week because it's homecoming. And so we have lots of activities planned. What gets me out of bed is I truly, in my heart of hearts, believe that if you want to change the world, you educate someone. And that's our mission. You know, sometimes people want me to say something or do something. And I always say, look, I educate young people who go out to do those things. And I want Elon to be the best place for a young person to acquire an education because they will change the world. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is knowing that I'm setting the conditions and creating the opportunities for young people to get a great education.
That would get me out of bed in the morning. That's a fantastic.
It is exciting.
Do you have anything, you know, when I talk to some of my clients and different audiences, they're always wondering, like, how do you stay grounded? And I share that you should keep your values close, you know, different things to remind you about your values. Do you have anything like that? Do you lean on anything or reference anything to keep you grounded?
So I do have a morning practice of, I'm glad you said that, Joyel, about a value system driving, who we are. And so I jokingly, I do have a process in the morning. I pray and meditate. I say a 3-word prayer when I first open my eyes. Good morning, God. That's my 3-word most powerful prayer I do because it reminds me I'm not alone.
That's right.
And I need to invite a higher power into all of the decisions I'm going to make that day.
Absolutely.
So I'm a spiritual person. I bring that in the mornings. I have a 30-minute spiritual call Monday through Saturday that I take, and it's really important to me to set aside that time. It includes a daily meditation and reading and a reflection on that. So it is, I do that. Plus I read the trades and higher education. I read the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post. That's my morning routine. And it takes about an hour and a half to do that. So I get up early to do it. And I go for a 3-mile walk.
Woo! All in the morning.
Yes.
3-mile walk. Woo.
But my energy is from those. Actually, I also, when I miss it, I tell the team I missed it because I know I'm on a shorter fuse. Like I have some self-awareness to know that I'm on a little shorter fuse when I don't do that self-care in the morning.
That is so true. If you skip your morning ritual or your routine, the world just seems like it's not on its axis correctly. So it's so important, and I'm glad that you shared. Thank you for sharing that, because it really sets you up. You know, I have a morning routine as well, and connection to spirit, and connection to God and whomever people believe in. But having that connection, having that grounding right at the beginning of the morning, it just puts you on the right path. It really does.
It makes a huge difference.
It does. It really does. Thank you for sharing that. Now, prior to coming to Elon, you were the provost at the Citadel, the military college in South Carolina, where I was living. So we were living in the same city, but we just didn't even know that our paths were crossing. You're the 9th and first female president at Elon. You cast a very positive shadow for female leaders to aspire to positions like yours. Have you experienced any challenges in your career in getting to where you are right now?
I would say that I had a lot of opportunities, but of course there were challenges that would come up as being a woman, and often the only woman at the table. And I would say that most of the challenges were were about me. And I had adopted, and I think most women do, a set of behaviors that women do this, women do that, women. And anytime I needed to act outside of that boundary, which was set by maybe culture and just my experience in life, I always was nervous, anxious. And, and so I had to be willing to be more vocal than I was comfortable being culturally, to be more aware. Like I said, I show up ready, right? So sometimes it's listening to what people are saying and making sure you understand it so that you can respond effectively. So if there were some preconceived notions about what a woman could and couldn't do, that if it wasn't directly said, but indirectly said, I could still hear it and understand what was happening so that I could respond to it. But I will say that the majority of my experience was more positive, meaning that when I was at the table and when I was the only woman, that people, I think, were more aware that women could do this. I remember one time someone saying, well, why would a woman want that job? And they were talking about a deanship or somebody applying for a deanship. And they said, well, why would a woman with small children or something want that job? And I said, for the same reason a man would want that job.
Yeah.
And I could tell there was a moment of awareness on that person, and it was a man making that observation, right? And so it's more that opportunity, that being at the table, I realized, oh, I'm also a teacher here on a range of things about women. And one last thing on that, because it's been on my mind today I had another event, and sometimes we think, like, sometimes I stumbled my way through those early conversations because I wasn't comfortable advocating for myself. So I would stumble my way through it, but I made an attempt to say it, right?
Yes.
I cannot tell you how many times, Joyel, that I would receive a call or an email or a letter in the mail, and they went home and they had heard me. Even though I stumbled, they had still heard me. So don't be so hard on yourself that you're not able to get it right out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a little fumbling through it. And every time I do it, my muscle is getting better at it. So those early stumbling throughs still helped make change.
That is good gold right there. Those are some gems. Definitely some gems, President Book. That is so integral and so important for our audience to hear. Even if you don't have it all figured out, stumble through it anyway, because you will be heard. You will be, I mean, that is like the tenets of Show Your Ask. That is like, I should have had you write the foreword.
I want to read that because I'm going to read it and then I'm going to circle back around with you, Joyel. I'm excited about it. I always read a leadership book in January. So this will be my leadership book for January.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that nugget of knowledge, that self-awareness and just understanding that your words will be heard. Just say them no matter what. You know, you don't have to have it all perfectly polished, but say it because somebody will hear it and it will impact somebody's life. So digging in, that's making my mouth water. I'm just like, this is so good. What would be, this is my favorite question to ask my guests on the podcast, is what kind of 1 or 2 career advice or leadership tips? I mean, that one was a big one. But what are there any other career or leadership tips that you would have shared with younger Connie, like little Connie, back when you were coming up, a few years ago? What would those be?
Well, one is, I followed a very effective president and he followed a very effective president. And you're like, can we really keep advancing the goals of an organization? Like, am I going to be as good as the previous presidents? Mm-hmm. And I really now believe in the right leader at the right time mentality, right? I'm bringing a set of my own. I can see things that people before me didn't see, right? We each bring our own view. Mm-hmm. And I'm realizing that there is no good, bad. It really is what the leader lifts up and brings to the community and how they work with the community. So you are the right leader, right? It's like, don't think that you have to replicate what previous leaders have done. You are the right leader. And then the second thing I would offer is, we're all living longer. Mm-hmm. And I thought I had to get it all done in my 30s. I'm not, it's like, I got to have those kids. I gotta, be successful, get my tenure, publish that article, that book. Like, I have to get it all. And I realized now I had more time than I thought I had. And so just not to feel a sense of time is running out, because that pace can cause you to accept less excellence because you're in a hurry. And I have found that the deeper is better. The deeper is better. So take time to have those relationships that are important. Take time with your children, because my kids are grown now and I'm still young. I've got plenty of time. Right?
Yes.
So take time with your kids if you have kids. But to have that deeper and that richness in your life.
That is so important, because I think we're so intent on like checking the box and getting to this certain milestone by a certain time frame, and there is no time frame, like we don't know our yesterday's not promised to us, or tomorrow's not promised to us. And so it's so important to just be in the moment and just enjoy where you are and dig deep. I love that. The deeper is better. And the right leader at the right time. So you have to believe that you are the right leader at the right, that really speaks to the imposter syndrome and so many layers of the imposter syndrome, being in a predominantly male type of industry or leadership position. So good. So good. I just want more. I want more of you.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you. And, if I'm going to be putting all kinds of information about Elon University, because it is my dear alma mater. And I have so many wonderful memories of it. So you can learn more about President Book. You can learn more about the school, all the different things, all the things. I'm going to be sharing all the information about Elon University. And good luck and congratulations on homecoming. I wish I could be there.
Thank you. Thanks for thinking about Elon, because it is really a great place. And I'm so pleased to see your success. And when I say you change the world, when you educate someone, and you're a great, like this whole program and your outreach to people and coaching and executive work is a great example of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. And if you like it, subscribe and share it with friends, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.